I'm Travis Brown, founder and CEO of Mojo Up Marketing and Media. And this is my podcast, where I talk to the most successful Black and brown business executives who've broken through the barriers of today's business culture. Welcome to Mojo Up Live, the Diverse and Talented podcast. I'm your host, Travis Brown, and today I got Holli Harrington. She is the Senior Director of Equity and Opportunity at the Indianapolis Airport Authority. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Travis.
Now, I love to ask people about their journey because people hear a cool title like that you're a big baller, you're a boss now, but it didn't just happen overnight. Like there's a journey, to this. So let's go all the way back to where you're from. Where you grew up, high school and college.
Okay. Well, I always say I'm not a boss, I'm a voice. Mm-hmm. And you'll understand that as we talk, not just for myself, but for many others. But I
love that, by the way.
Everybody who knows me knows I am a proud Detroiter from D-Town, grew up there, and that has a lot to do with who I am. My mom was an speech pathologist, so she would beat me up if I said teacher because it was so much more than that. But my father was a pharmacist, so service was everything. My grandmother was in healthcare. One of my aunts was a nurse. So service to others has been very much part of my life, and especially in inner city Detroit. So a lot of people will say, "Are you from Southfield? Are you from?" I'm from 7 Mile, Livernois, so I'm from Detroit proper. Very proud of my high school. I went to Cass Technical High School, so I was actually a chemical engineer in high school. And so that transcended into me being a mechanical engineer going to Howard University, which is how I kind of wound up here. So I always like to say I started off in civil, but they put me in the sewer system really near the city airport. And that made me switch my major from civil to mechanical engineering. But now that I'm at an airport, if someone had showed me what I could have done from a career track at an airport in civil engineering, I might have stayed on that track. But just, what you know. And so I knew cars. So with Ford, GM, and Chrysler there, I was like, okay, when I grow up, I'm probably going to work for an automotive company. So I went mechanical.
Interesting. I know that you had some serious background at Eli Lilly. Is that what brought you to the city?
Absolutely. So Lilly recruited at Howard University. At that time, it was the early 90s, and there were actually 9 of us female engineers that came into Lilly at different plant sites. I think I pulled the short straw, not in the sense of it was just negative, but coming from Detroit and DC and landing in Clinton, Indiana, at that plant site was kind of a cultural shock.
Gotta be.
And but it was awesome, learning experience. I recently talked to my son, and his comment, and I hope I don't mess it up. He said, "All racists are ignorant, but all ignorance isn't racist." And when he said that, it made me think about my experience in Clinton. There were a lot of people that had never interfaced with a technical, professional Black female. And there were probably 3 or 4, at the site. They would call us by the same name, even though we all looked different. But it was just their exposure was limited. And so it created learning opportunities for us, for those that were willing to learn. And as long as we didn't have a chip on our shoulder, we were able to give them a different perspective. And so I feel like those women and myself kind of changed how people might view, African Americans, that we weren't just exceptions. There are a lot of people just like us.
That's interesting perspective on, not only the ignorance take, and I think the grace that's around that right there, but also just the mindset to go, I could be mad, I could be bitter, I could be angry, I could be spiteful because of that situation, but also I use it as an opportunity to change how people see us. And I think that's part of part of this where we are in our world is choosing when to do that, and when not to, So talk about then your journey. How did you get from Lilly to the airport?
Okay, so I was at Lilly for 21 years. Started off as a mechanical engineer. Did a cross-functional assignment in compensation, so part of HR. And that resulted in my customer there saying, hey, we want you to be a generalist. So I did the generalist role in HR, and then what I call my home function, which is manufacturing, said, we want you back. And I was able to do a HR associate kind of specialty assignment, and was responsible for bringing the National Society of Black Engineers conference here. So it was an awesome, experience to be able to show a lot of young youth how they could get engaged with companies like Lilly that they might not have otherwise had, exposure to. So I give my whole path because it's the perfect culmination of where I sit today. So after that, I did recruiting. So I was responsible for bringing in diverse talent into Lilly. So it was all talent in manufacturing and quality, but had a focus on some of the diverse aspects and making sure we did some of the EEO things, and then got a tap on the shoulder. We were changing our course as it related to recruiting, and wound up in supplier diversity, where I was recruiting businesses instead of people, but again with that diverse focus. So one of my fondest memories is my dad saying, and you went to engineering school, why? Because the beginning of my career was engineering, but then it was a very different path. But having the manufacturing background, when you think of supplier diversity and construction, I have a good baseline under construction after doing capital projects at a major company for years. And then when you talk about recruiting, you learn how to recruit, you learn how to coach, you learn how to mentor. So that translates really well into doing that for businesses. And so then understanding the strategies around procurement and things like that, I'm in the kind of perfect role now to influence culture from both a workforce development, an economic impact, and a community engagement as the equity officer for the Indianapolis Airport.
Well, it's funny to see that journey, right? And as many people sit in the seat, they started in one place that had a direction from high school into a college career into what they're doing now. But it's interesting to see the people that what they did really connects to what they're doing. Angela was just here, and so like the biology path into what she does from a legal perspective, and yours too. And I think it's good for people to understand like where you are today, doesn't mean this is where you have to end up, and you can really own the different pieces. But here's what I'd love to hear you talk about is that owning each piece of that and giving your best wherever you are at the time. What was your mindset around? I'm giving that because you didn't know this is where it was going to lead to, but knowing you enough that I know, like I'm giving everything I can to this piece.
Well, I just had a conversation with somebody about this. We were talking about a student that is about to go from high school to college, and so they're at the top of their game, and now they're going to be at the bottom. And I just feel, not the bottom in a negative way, but bottom in the sense that you don't have the experience, you don't have the know-how, and you've got to figure out how to navigate through it. I've had that over and over. So, going from college into the work environment, I was active founder of organizations on campus, and now I'm going someplace where I don't know anybody. And you got to remember, this is when there were no cell phones, early 90s. We didn't have the internet yet, so you really had to leverage relationships. And I think that has been a huge asset. So even with all the technological advances, I would prefer to pick up a phone and call somebody to set up time where we can sit and talk and get to know each other and build a relationship. So, that builds throughout your career, and so it humbles you, and when you're humbled, you're hungry. So if you're hungry at different phases of your career, Not only do you strive to be your best, you strive to help the people around you, be their best. And so that's what I think has kind of channeled me. So when I went from engineering, into HR, I didn't know anything about compensation development. I knew I liked numbers. I was good in Excel sheets. Now we've got pivot tables, now we've got data analytics. So I've had that evolution, but when you start, you don't know that stuff. So just being willing to learn and know what you know, but more importantly, know what you don't know, and try to figure it out and find the resources to help you figure it out.
Let me ask you this, because one of the things, and this is about young people's journey also, is you can look back now and also see, yes, humble and hungry, but I also want to throw a word in there, patient. And it looks different now when we look back on how patient we think we were at that point in time. But this was, like you said, I was there for 21 years, right? That's not 21 days.
No.
That's not even 21 months.
Not
I feel like a
all.
lot of young people today, and they're not wrong for wanting to collapse that timetable, because, by all means. But don't understand that the way that most people got to where they are, there's some grind in there, there's some hustle, and there's some patience in there. How did you stay patient through that? But more importantly, or not more importantly, but also, how do you share that with people that you're mentoring about staying patient on their journey?
Well, what I would say, you got to earn your stripes. And there's, two approaches. I've always believed there's a learner phase in anything you do. Then you get kind of comfortable, and then you can contribute. And so it's hard when you really want to contribute, but you're still learning. You know what I mean? So that patience comes in getting comfortable, where you feel like, okay, I know enough that I'm not always going to somebody else. But a lot of people struggle because in going from learning to being comfortable, we let other people's view of us become our view of ourselves. So an example is, you should ask a question, but you don't, because you think somebody thinks you should already know the answer. Well, the only person who loses is you, because you walk away and you still don't know what to do. And so I think understanding that kind of early on, that forced me to kind of ask the questions that I needed, and, really get to a point where, is if people judge me because I'm trying to learn, then that's probably not where I need to be. And that's what my hope is for the current generation, the millennials, is trusting that it's okay not to know. And don't just jump because you don't, but take the time to kind of figure it out, and just realize when people are giving you feedback, if it's a trusted person, many cases they're trying to build you up. And I got to where I am because people saw in me what I didn't see in myself. And I listened. And that whole patient thing is, hey, if you see this, are you going to be a partner with me helping me get there? Pushing the envelope, getting out of my comfort zone. I know everybody has different paths, but I can say mine has really been one of support from people in corporations and in the community, seeing more than I saw myself and walking alongside of me and helping me make that a reality. Because I would have never thought a little girl from inner city Detroit would be trusted with developing culture in Indianapolis and in an airport. And it is truly a blessing.
Let's talk about developing that culture in the airport. I think sometimes people forget how big your workforce is, and the reach. So first of all, how big is that workforce? What is their reach, and what are you primarily focused on in your role now?
So our workforce is between 400, 500 people when we're fully staffed, but all the challenges we're having right now in the workforce. So we have a strategic plan, and we've got pillars, and ultimately, hopefully a lot of people come to the airport and know we really pride ourselves on customer service. But to achieve that, we've got to have the right people. So that's the focus on the workforce development. We want to make sure people that represent our community are contributing to that so that we have the best outcomes and the best solutions. And that's where the whole supplier diversity and economic impact, both from a diverse standpoint and giving opportunities to local businesses to be able to help shape the feel of the airport, because we want it to feel like Indianapolis. We want to embrace the Hoosier hospitality, but also the community engagement piece is how do we partner in the community so that we can get the right workforce and how we can meet individuals that can help us make that economic impact. So that's kind of our kind of focus, and when we get that right, then we yield the stellar customer service or world-class customer service that we want. So it's all about the people that work at the airport, then the people that partner with the airport, either doing business or through community partnership and engagement. So if you think a pipeline, you can go workforce or business. If we're out in the community with different organizations like the Indy Chamber or with the Martin Luther King Center, I'm current board chair of the Minority Engineering Program of Indianapolis. We're all creating the pipeline to show people, what you could do at the airport. A lot of people don't know we've got our own public safety. So we've got police, we've got fire, we've got emergency operations, we've got maintenance. We call it a city within a city. And I'll be honest, when I was coming up, had no clue, with the Detroit airport, that was what was going on. But the Indianapolis is a mid-size and is amazing. And we are very family-based there. So even today, before coming here, we had a celebration of RIGHT, which is our Respect, Integrity, Trust, and Excellence Awards, where individuals can nominate one another that have gone above and beyond or have just made a difference. And so that's what we had this afternoon before I came here, and that pulls everybody. So no matter what you do there, it pulls us together and we can lift one another up to try to achieve the same goal, which is creating a positive experience as the gateway into the city. So.
I want to talk a little bit about supplier diversity, because that's people are making a big push around both DEI and supplier diversity. So talk about your thought process around supplier diversity and how you've worked to create more equitable opportunities.
Well, the biggest thing is, I always say, is access. Is making sure people know what the opportunities are. And if you've got opportunities, but you're, again, not out in the community telling people, you're not making those connections. So people who know me know I say, you've got access and then you've got participation. So participation is once people know about them, if they're not actively engaged in the RFI, RFP, or the bidding process, then they're never going to result in the opportunity, right? So you've got to help people navigate through that. Some organizations have been around for a while, so they're used to creating bid documents. They know what the process is. They know, in the past you had to be on a website and monitoring that website to see from a business development if something matched your skill set. There are all kind of portals. We use a system called Planet Bids that it sends you based on your industry every time we have an opportunity there. So then we have the pre-bid meetings and stuff like that people can participate. So it starts with access, but you've got to get people involved. And you that participation, then internally you got to have consideration. So if you've told them what the opportunity is, you showed them how to navigate it, you got to make sure people are willing to consider them through your process. So that's kind of the internal focus. And then if you get all those right, then you got utilization. So right now, we're pretty proud. Last year, we had 30%, approximately 28, I like to round up, but 30% participation in with disadvantaged minority, women, and veteran-owned business, which equates to about 38 million. So I remember when I first got to the airport and we were like, we did 11 million, in a year, and to be able to do 38, in one is real meaningful. And again, making sure you build the piece of the pie and you don't just segment it. So, if you look at the evolution of supply.
Go back there. You say it again. You're about your pie right there.
You want to make sure you're building the
Yep.
pie and not just segmenting one small piece of pie. So what I mean by that is, if you know the history of supplier diversity, it started with minority-owned businesses. And so then you saw women saying, hey, we're facing some of the challenges in getting these access to opportunities, being considered. And then veteran-owned businesses, and now you've got LGBT businesses. And so you want to make, and you have in businesses with disabilities. So you want to make sure that you are creating opportunities for all, not just saying, okay, this is what we're going to allocate and all of you guys fit in this space. And it's real important that you are going out to each of the communities to say, hey, getting a good understanding of what the capabilities are, and then kind of working with them. And, you know, this morning we had NABO, the National Association of Women Business Owners, at the airport as well, doing a D&I panel and discussion to talk about how do we work together. So they had both the corporate partners and the business owners, and creating safe places where you can talk, because you don't do everything right on either side all the time. But if we're not talking to each other, neither side isn't going to get better. So as a corporate partner, I'm doing things that help. I think it's helping drawing you in, and it's actually hurting you. If I don't know it, I'm going to continue. And the same thing if we got a business that is like, well, I'm trying to do that hard sell, but the example I use, I'm trying to sell you a pen, and you don't know, I only use pencils. So you may make the best pen in the world, but if I don't use that, how do you shift and get to the business side that can help you do your work? I can be an advocate for you, even though I might not be able to buy what you sell. And so the supplier diversity is community. All the individuals, we work together, we host events together to try to advocate so that we have more participation in the overall community.
We were recently at Champions of Diversity, which is a Minority Business Magazine event, and you won an award. And it wasn't that you won the award that caught my attention that night, was the standing ovation and how much people celebrated you. There were a lot of people who won awards, great people, but they celebrated you different. Why is that?
We talked about being a voice for other people, and all I can say is that's how I've been brought up, that my focus is always helping everybody else. And, you know, I used to joke and I said, you know, one day I'm going to help the right person, and that's who I'm going to work for. So, you know, I want to see my kids be better than me. I want to see the people who work for me, you know, get there quicker, faster, stronger. So I don't know how old you are, but one of the things I talk about is the $6 million man, and is how they said quicker, faster, stronger. And so that's one of the things that I want for everybody. You know, I've had a phenomenal life and career, but if I can help the next person get there quicker and it be better and it faster and they be stronger because of it, then I think I've made a difference. And so that's how I approach my job. That's how I approach the community. And I really credit Center for Leadership Development back in 98 when I first got here. So I got here in about 92, Indianapolis 92. Got to Lilly at 91, and they have their Achievers Awards. And so then I was with my boyfriend, who is now my husband, and I got nominated by my sorority. I actually helped Lilly nominate, you know, somebody for an award. So Lily is sitting up at the front, I'm sitting up at the back with my boo. And when they started announcing who the person was, it was me. And so this community has embraced me. I was still Holly Bradley, not Holli Harrington, and recognized me, and that catapulted my career at Lilly, because my boss after that came and said, I didn't know you did all of that. And I said, well, I've never been trusted within this organization to lead. So I do my job and then I go lead in the community. So wow, that was kind of a changing point for me. So I teach a lot of people, you can live your passion in your work and in your service. And when you're doing what you love across all three of those, I think that's why people were so happy for me, because I've been at this for a long time and I love celebrating other people. So it was very humbling and an honor for people to celebrate me.
So why have you stayed here? Obviously you love the roots to the D, right? And other places, but why stay here in Indy?
Number one, his name is Holli Harrington, who is my soulmate. He is my heart. So my husband, I would say, is the primary reason that I'm here. And then just the opportunities that came. He and I laugh. I was like, I thought I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. The engineering thing was my backup plan. My mother was always like, you have to have a backup plan. And it has just been, real successful. And I think the fact that when, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up, it wasn't running, a corporation or something. That's why I have a different kind of humility. I've been beyond blessed and I'm ecstatic, at where I'm at. But I thought I was just going to be taking care of my husband and my kids. And to be able to make this kind of difference has been because people saw something in me I didn't see in myself and just kept lifting me up. So just grateful for what I've been able to do, and again, hope that I'm touching lives along the way, so there'll be a bunch that are quicker, better, stronger behind me.
I love that, quicker, better, stronger, making an impact and collapsing the time, and the opportunity, for other people. What kind of organizations are you partnered with here that are near and dear to you?
So my heart, as many people know, is the Minority Engineering Program of Indianapolis, and we have students from 6th to 12th grade that are interested in engineering. So we expose them to all the disciplines. We have different projects to expose them to what it might be like. We also have mentors and facilitators that look like them. So it's targeted at minority students, but it's showing them, the minority engineers. So even though I'm not doing engineering today, and it started, I got involved when I was at Lilly. You've got, Cummins is a big partner right now that is helping us do some e-learning so we can have a broader impact. We've got Purdue, we've got Rose-Hulman, participating. We've got IUPUI, and then just companies that have engineering here. So the airport is one of the new sponsors as well. We've got Roche. So it's just people in those organizations that are coming back and mentoring these kids. They meet once a month. We do during the school year, and we're starting to do boot camps so we can give exposure to the kids that can't commit to coming to a monthly session over 9 months over the school year, how we can give them a crash course or a boot camp in a day or a half a day and give them that kind of exposure so we can change the trajectory, so we have more students comfortable pursuing STEM. So that's why we start at 6th grade and then it goes to 12th grade. And we connect them to like the universities, and to National Society of Black Engineers is another organization that's my heart, because that's what connected me to Lilly. Right. So I was a national officer with them when I was in school. When I was in Detroit, I was in the Detroit area pre-college engineering program. So now to be a part of this program here in Indianapolis and trying to have that same impact, one of our success stories is, we got two, we actually have a bunch, but one of our members of our advisory board now was a student in MEPI, and now she runs the advisory board. We've got another student that JQOL, Jarvis Joyner, I don't know if you've met him, but he would be a great person. He was our keynote speaker last year. He was one of our students. He worked in engineering for years, and now he runs his own company where he's doing payroll for other people and attracting them, to engineering. There's a young man at Lilly currently in Puerto Rico that was another one of my speakers. I knew him when he was in 6th grade, and now he's running a site in Puerto Rico for Eli Lilly. So that's why, I tell people I sleep well at night because, it is by their own merits that they did it, but you provided a little bit of help along the way.
That's amazing. All right, I got to put you on a hot seat here and ask you some rapid fire questions. These are favorites. I'll ask one word or phrase, answer,
goodness.
and then if you have to go in on one, you can. But here we go. Favorite place to vacation?
Turks and Caicos or Detroit.
Ooh. Well, favorite city you've been to?
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Favorite homemade meal?
Shrimp Creole and jalapeno cornbread.
Favorite restaurant or restaurant you like to go to?
Morton's.
A brand that you love? Yeah, clothing brand, shoe brand, any brand.
Clothing, it used to be Via Spiga for those that are older, and now it's Clark's because I'm older and I need comfort.
Favorite sports team?
All things Detroit: Lions, Tigers, Pistons, Red Wings.
Okay. College? Favorite college?
Of course, Howard University.
Last TV show you binge watched?
Homecoming and All American.
Well, All American, I watched that one. A must-watch movie?
It's funny. It's Miss Jane Pittman.
Okay. A great book you would recommend?
A great book. The Shack.
Favorite type of music?
House music all night long.
House music. A hype song. So if you're going to walk on the big stage someplace, they're going to play you a hype song.
The house version of Respect by Aretha Franklin.
And then the last question for you is, there comes a time when you're done, it's all over, there's a number, there's a dash and a number on a tombstone, and there's a bunch of people standing around talking about Holli Harrington. What is it that you hope that they will be saying?
She cared. That's it.
She cared.
She cared.
Well, I don't know you very well. This is, we're getting to know each other in a couple interactions and a couple phone calls. But from every single person that stood up and cheered from you at the event that I was at, you could tell, no questions asked, that they were all saying, I'm cheering because she cares for everybody. So
thank you very much.
You get the honors of closing out our show.
This way?
Yep.
It's a wrap.